What does it mean to trust your story and feel like it has value? I'm going to dive into that, but first, I wanted to do a little backstory. So, over the last few weeks, I've been really getting into journaling in the morning and writing my thoughts down and reading. And I've been writing these notes to myself in a notebook, and I started sharing them on the internets. And one of my friends challenged me to take one of those notes and do a little video on it. And so here I am sitting in my car, talking to myself like an idiot and wondering why I'm doing this, but I thought I would give it a try. This morning's note to self was, trust your story, it has value. The reason why that struck a chord with me was because that I feel like my story is not interesting. I feel like I've lived an uninteresting life. Maybe that has something to do with social media. I see other people living way more interesting lives than I am. But thinking back and looking back at my life for various reasons, there are times where I've gone through things that are interesting. I've gone through things that are challenging, things that are fun, things that basically make me who I am. And the thought is that as a creator, as someone who is involved in creative activity for work and as a hobby and as an art form, that creativity is informed by who I am as a person and where I've come from and the experiences that I've had. And I couldn't help but think about that, that the most interesting and personal work that a creative person can make is work that is informed by their story. And that kind of work is the kind of work that resonates with everyone. When you get vulnerable, when you get personal with your work, then that is when your work becomes sticky with other people. And not only is trusting your story about creative work either. My life, my past has value even for me as a parent. As I'm a creative person, I'm involved in trying to creatively parent my kids, because if you're a parent, you know what that means. Is like no two kids are the same. You have to have tons of creativity to be a parent. And if you don't think that's the case, then I think you're completely mistaken. You have to have a ton of creativity to be a parent. And so trusting my story because it has value is because the things I've gone through as a kid, I'm now going back in my life and reevaluating as I have kids and trying to help them as they go through tough stuff. For instance, my son struggles with school. We're trying to figure that out. We've been trying to figure out for 3 years. So as I think about that, I try to dredge up memories of me being in school, what I was feeling like, those stories that I went through as a kid and the struggles I had in school, and trying to use that as I help my son, trying to use my story as I help my son go through school life. And for instance, right now I'm trying to re-examine the learning disabilities that I struggled with in college that I wish I would have figured out way before in middle school or elementary school, but it took me until college to figure out that I had some specific learning disabilities that made college hard for me. And so now I'm going back and trying to figure that out a little bit and trying to use that as a creative tool to help parent my son who is going through some of the things that I'm going through. So don't discount your story. Your story has value in so many different ways. When it comes to creativity, when it comes to making art, your story has value, and don't discount it, because the life you've lived, the things you've experienced, the hardships you've gone through are all things that are valuable in your creativity and the things that drive you to create. And when you look inside yourself, when you look at your story, when you look at the things that have affected you, then and then you create from those places, that's when creativity is at its best.